ahead and
Do it.
good evening, everybody.
Listen to that. That was official.
We want to go ahead and welcome everybody to our August regular meeting of the Clay County Board of Education. I want to start this evening with, if you don't mind, just a moment of silence. As many of you may know and be aware of, Rosamond High School lost a couple of students this weekend tragically, and so we want to just pause for a moment of silence before we get going. So. Thank you. Mr. Caldwell, if you don't mind to do the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Attention.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Beth, would you mind to read the mission statement, please?
The mission of Clay County Schools is to build high-quality learning environments that ensure all students learn at high levels.
Thank you. The only announcement that we have is our next regular meeting will be September the 23rd here in the boardroom at 6 o'clock. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. You have that in front of you, but we do need to make an amendment to that.
I can speak to that. It's my
Okay.
fault. So historically, we have done recognitions right after public comment. And I had my superintendent report before that, and I realized that I was delaying people in having their recognition and maybe keeping them for a portion they didn't necessarily want to hear. So I moved that, and in doing so, I inadvertently deleted the recognitions part, and I realized that after we printed the agenda. So we just need to add
maybe a 6B to the
6B.
agenda and just spring sports recognition for
Yep.
baseball and softball.
I apologize, that was my mistake.
So, is it okay if we make that amendment? I'll entertain a motion that we do that. Okay, Mr. Caldwell.
I'll second it.
Second that. And with that change, then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as it's presented.
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Beck, is that a second? Okay. All in favor? Thank you.
I was going to vote for you.
And next we have public comment. We have one person signed up, Miss Angela Davis. And so Miss Davis is right there. I'll ask that you come up to the podium here, and just as a reminder, you have 3 minutes for public comment. If there's specific questions, we will get back to you via Ms. Godfrey, who is the secretary of the board. And so we'll let you have your 3 minutes here.
I don't need 3 minutes, but okay, so there have been rumors circulating from the children regarding the Title IX expansion. Children, XY chromosome individuals will be allowed to go in the locker rooms and bathrooms. We need clarification on that. We need clarification on the sports teams. We also have been told that the national anthem is not going to be played. I don't know if any of that's true. So that's basically what I want to know.
Very good. Well, we'll get back to you with clarification on all of that.
When will?
Ms. Godfrey will put together a response that Ms. Godfrey will type up and either mail to you or email to you. So if you want to make sure that we have your contact info before you leave, maybe.
Okay.
So, Angel, do you care to grab that for us?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do they have an extra pen?
Yes. Take it back.
Oh, you've got one.
I do, yes.
This one's completely gone. Thank you.
Very good. Good. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Davis, and we'll be back in touch. So we'll go ahead with the next item is recognitions, and we'll start with obviously baseball and softball here. So, Mr. Oakley,
Coach Sellers up. Does everybody use Kate here? I need to stand over here?
Yes, you do.
you get the podium. You get the podium, Coach Sellers.
Well, it's kind of complicated, but,
Okay, I'll shake hands.
yeah.
That's not.
No. I got all these things over here, they don't fall. Looks like everybody's here, except for Kate, who's not here yet. First of all, thank you to the board for doing this. Superintendent Godfrey, Principal Owen, thank you, administration. Thank you, parents that's here. Thank you, kids. The assistant coaches, we couldn't do this without assistant coaches as far as working with these kids and getting to where they can achieve their goals and everything. I wanted to go over a couple things. Some of these things may be, some of their stats. I don't get into a lot of individual stats. These kids compete a lot. They want to outdo each other, which is good. It's good competition, but I'm more of a team stat guy, team player. That's where we achieve our goals. We're only as good as the worst player we have. We make that player better, then we're going to get better. This team last year won the conference. Undefeated, they were 12-0. They went 16-4. We got the second round of the state playoffs. This year we want to get further, and they'll see me sometime this year do this. That means I want to get to the Final Four, which means you get the Final Four, anything happen. And all these kids have eligibility left. They'll be back, hopefully, if they deem to do so, to play this coming year. Couple of things on this team. We scored 200 runs. We averaged 10 runs a game. We averaged 12 hits a game. Our team ERA was 3.5. We had players of the year. We had pitchers of the year. We had all conference. Some other accolades through the state of North Carolina I'll be giving out too. But a phenomenal job for these kids. Not just these kids, but the entire team. Known a lot of them since they were 3-4 years old. Even mine when he was diapers too. But proud of these kids. Thank you again. I wanted to start, and I'll mention a few things about each player, each student athlete. They're great students. They learn their mistakes, and they get better in the classroom. I preach students first, athletes second. These awards were voted on by the other coaches in the conference, Smoky Mountain Conference. I nominate names, and then they vote on them. Honorable mention, this player didn't play his sophomore year. He had shoulder surgery. Came back last year, played probably the most important position on the field, and did a great job. Caught most of the games all season, made 4 errors. Had to manage the defense, had to manage the team, the pitchers. He works his tail off. He did. Did all he could do, and that's Dawson Devane. Yeah. Kate Caruso's not here, is he? All conference, I'll just go in alphabetical order. This kid played third base most of the year, I think, for us. Pitched a little bit, put him on the mound, he loved to pitch. Didn't give up an earned run in conference play when he pitched. Hit 330, 340. Led us in RBIs. Of all these kids, hit 6 in the hole and led us in RBIs. He had 21 RBIs all season. Stole 15, 20 bases. Hustler, great player, Chance Hughes. Next player, we weren't sure where he's going to play. shortstop, center field, and he had a leg injury at the start of the season, so we stuck him and left him in short. Turned out, great job. He knocked in 20 runs, stole 20 bases, hit 340, 350, made some great plays at shortstop, led the infield, was a leader. Expecting him and some of these other kids to be team leaders again this year. Did a little bit of pitching, maybe pitched a little bit more this year. And that's Tate Roberts. Congratulations. All conference, played first base for us when he wasn't pitching, played right field, threw a couple of kids out to the plate, maybe saved a game or two. I think single-handedly beat Pisgah with a home run and pitched. Played third, played anywhere he wanted to. Hit 340, 350, hit a home run, like I say. Knocked in 70 to 80 runs, didn't steal as many bases, but that's okay. Great kid. I have to run him out of the facility down here. He wants to, besides him, there's a couple more, they want to stay in there and hit and pitch all the time. But I have to run them out when we have dead periods. But that's Kyle Shaheen. These next two kids, they were all conference, but they were recognized as they were nominated, voted on. As pitcher of the year and Smoky Mountain Conference player of the year. If I get emotional, I'm sorry. Coming in the season, Kate's not here, but Kendall was our top two returning pitchers besides Chance had pitched a little bit. And Kendall got hurt, Kate got hurt, and we had to plug in some holes. I had no idea, but this kid led the league in wins. He was strikeouts, had 45, 50 strikeouts. I think he, besides him and Kyle, they threw 35, 36 innings this year. Actually led the league in hitting, 519. Him and Michael was battling out most of the year. They were first and second in this area in Western North Carolina for hitting. But he did a phenomenal job. But he was voted as co-pitcher, but I disagree. But he was pitcher of the year. That's Jackson Sellers. Player of the year this year in the conference, voted on by the coaches. He hit 500. He stole 32 bases. He scored 32 runs. He knocked in, 20-some. On-base percentage like 700-800. Put him at leadoff and just tell him to steal bases. He scores. There's kids behind him. That's why we had, 15, 20, 30 RBIs, as many RBIs as we had all season. Phenomenal athlete. He's another one I have to run out of the facility. Even if we win a game and he goes 4 for 4, he wants to go hit after the game. He wants to go throw. Michael Money. In some of these, there's a couple of awards that's left. I'm part of the North Carolina High School Baseball Coach Association, and every year we submit stats, and they vote on players. There's 8 districts. We're in District 8, which is 1A through 4A, and they also vote on all state teams, 1A players. This year, Hazel High School had 3. We had 1 made district, all 8, Region 8, and we had 2 that made the all-state baseball team. All District 8 was Tate Roberts. Congratulations, Mr. Roberts. And what I did is they have a certificate that shows the team, and then they have a certificate that has their name on it. Congratulations. The 2 kids that made the all-state team, well-deserving, was Michael Money and Jackson Sellers. I'm done, but thank you, board, thank you, faculty, for working with these kids. I expect big things out of these kids this year in school and in sports.
Not done yet, Coach.
Oh,
We had a Smoky Mountain Conference Coach of the Year, and in his second year, and I think the second year in a row, Coach Joe Jack Sellers was our conference coach of the year.
as I say, I couldn't do it without these players and my assistants and great parents. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, to stand on my tippy toes. I know. These tall boys.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Good job to you. Congrats.
Congratulations. I'm good.
We'll hide them again.
We'll hide.
All right.
Show your stuff.
Rita, I need you to come out a little bit. Kelly on your tippy toes. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm done, but there's.
Congratulations. Next, we'll go into the report section, and we'll start with Ms. Godfrey and the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you, and I apologize for messing up the agenda. I decided it would be better for me to do my report in the report section, and that way I didn't stand between start of the meeting and recognitions. But anyway, I apologize for that. I don't have a lot to share today. I just wanted to give everybody a quick update on our enrollment as of today. We have 1,327 students that started school here. And just to give you some comparison, last year at the start of school, we were at 1,289. So we are up, quite a bit, about 30 some students. So that's exciting for us. And also, we were so excited to have our kids back. It was joyful for me to be able to go to every school today and just see the children be so excited. And not only that, I also, I had emailed out to the staff. I'd gone to each open house, and it was really rewarding for me to be able to go to open house and see even our middle schoolers and our high schoolers be so excited to be back in the building and visiting with new teachers and going to visit their former teachers. It just really was heartwarming to see that, our teachers and our staff really have go the extra mile to make school a place where kids want to be and where kids enjoy coming, and just to see their excitement about coming back to school. So I saw lots of hugs and high fives and excitement today. I also saw a lot of very tired children at the end of the day. So I think it will definitely catch up. Obviously, we rolled out some new traffic patterns today. I would say all in all, it went well. We had some challenges, yes, but we always have challenges on the first day of school. But this so even more, just as people get their routines and learn the pick up and drop off points, I think it'll continue to go quicker. We've been blessed to have some support from the Sheriff's Department, from the Highway Patrol, and just helping us navigate everything. Just a reminder to everybody or any parents who may be watching, we do have lots of reminders on our district Facebook page and sent out on Remind and Seesaw, just some helpful hints and tips that may ease the struggle in the morning, and also a video that explains everything. If anyone still has questions, we're happy to answer those. If anyone needs information, they're welcome to call. But we did load our last hit at 3:20 today. And our goal was 3:15, and so we're not too far off of what we expected and our goal. And again, there were things that transpired. We stopped and asked people questions, and as those things don't have to happen anymore, I think it'll continue to get faster. But I do want everyone to know that it is just as challenging for us as it is for the people in the cars to navigate all of this. And so we're just trying to do it as gracefully as possible, but we do know that it is not without challenges, and we are certainly cognizant of that and aware of that, and we're doing our best to try and minimize it as best we can. However, there's only so much about this whole situation that's within our control, and so we're going to do everything we can to continue monitoring and make any adjustments that we can along the way. But that's really all I have. If you guys have any questions for me that I'm happy to answer. We're just excited to have our kids back, you know, so excited.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Well, thank you for that. Glad it went as smoothly as it could, and appreciate seeing all of you folks here this afternoon. I know that first day of school is always tough, and then having to stay after for a board meeting doesn't make it any easier, so appreciate you folks being here this evening and getting everything off to a good start, so thank y'all.
Dr. Schick, I do have a quick question. What about lunch and breakfast? How did that go today, you know, being free? I'm sure it's a little smoother, maybe.
Yeah, overall went really well.
It was chicken nugget day.
Oh,
I mean,
everybody was eating chicken
it was
nuggets.
a good day. Chicken nuggets and potato wedges. Yeah, it's a good day.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll do a maintenance report. Mr. Stephen Livers here this evening.
So while he's coming up, I'll just share. I asked Mr. Livers to come and just share with the board. I've shared with you bits and pieces over the summer about work that was going on, but I'd like for you to just see the face of maintenance and hear about all that they've had going on. And I told him I could share this, but they get tired of hearing from me, so I'll give you the time.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to step up here tonight and just share some things with you. I can't express how proud I am of the team. These guys work very hard. I do not question anything they do. I don't have to. They do a good job, and they're very accountable for everything that they do. And, you know, without them, we wouldn't have gotten done what we got done. And saying that, this is my fifth year. This is my fifth year this month, and this is probably the hardest summer I've seen, with everything that we've done and everything that had to be done, considering the construction and everything going on. But I just would like to share with you a couple things that we did. I'll make it brief because I'm very nervous. So what I did is I broke everything down per school and per building, excuse me. We'll start with the central building. We done some office painting. We done some AC replacement up on the roof, which was in dire need. These units are older than me. So, I mean, they seriously, the inside units up top are as old as this building. So we're really having to struggle with parts and things like that, but we were able to get it installed and fixed. We added a lot of signage per place, per varium for the traffic patterns and parking and things like this. We removed all the speed bumps, if y'all have noticed, and that just Miss Godfrey just thought that would make it easier, and it has made it easier for bus traffic and things like this, you know. And we waxed the floors downstairs. We jumped in this summer. We were shorthanded on custodial staff, so a couple of the guys jumped in and really helped out with custodial work and waxing the floors down here, and just basic summer repairs. In the middle school, we added a sliding window and a finished block wall, which was interesting. We had to blow through the block, but it turned out nice. And if any of y'all are ever down there, and what we done is we moved the front office completely around. Everything has changed because of the main entrance being on this side now, and it really turned out well. But we painted and touched up areas in the principal's office. The floor repair, we done 4 classrooms, and they turned out very, very good. I'm real happy with the product, and I'm real happy with, and I know we had so many problems with that floor for a while there, but I was glad to see the finished product and get it fixed. And then we had done the floor finish in the middle school gym. In the high school, you know, I always put this on there, but we do graduation setup. We put new carpet in the media center, the band room, and the lecture hall, which turned out very good. I'm real happy with the way it looks. and the way it turned out. But what we'd had to do, and this turned out to be a bigger job than we anticipated, we had to remove all of them seats in the lecture hall, which hadn't been touched since the building was built. And that became a little bit of a challenge reinstalling after the new carpet. We had to do a bunch of re-drilling and tapping new holes, and I thought the guys were going to quit on me a time or two. They got aggravated, but they held in there, and it looks great. Again, I can't express how good the job turned out. I'm real happy with it. We removed the furnitures and stuff for them to install. We installed mini splits. Now, all of these mini splits, we done everything in-house. We done the electrical. I want to thank iTech for allowing Jordan to help me with putting the wiring into the panels for me. We pulled the wire. We done all the outside wiring, and Jordan jumped in and helped with panel work so I could move on, because I knew that installing all the mini splits that we had to install, it was going to be a crunch to get everything done. But they turned out real good. We redone all the gym floor, which looks great. That turned out good. I like the whole black lining around. It really turned out good. We had a lightning strike at the football field, and Adrian had a lot of things go bad. We ended up having the stadium lights go down. And so I got on the phone and had to do some service calls with it, and we found about 4 relays that was burned up, and a power supply, and a couple of breakers that had gotten hit. But we finally got all of that worked through. Found out that this side, the street side, play clock was down, so we had to redo it and repair it. We replaced a full glass door in the high school. At the end of the year last year, the glass got busted out of the door, and that has wire mesh in it, and it was very lucky nobody got hurt, but that was a very expensive glass, and but we had to replace that. It looks good. We removed some old weight equipment. I've thrown this in. This is at the field house. We repaired some lockers, repaired some sheetrock up there. One of these things that I've been dealing with all summer is the chiller for the high school gym. That thing has been a nightmare this summer. I've about thrown everything I've got at it, and just to keep it running. And so we're really going to have to address this in future, just to let you guys know. But that thing has been a headache all summer, and I think Mr. Overland can concur with me. We're installing now some of these things that we're in process right now. We're installing a bottle filling station up there for Chad. We think that's more sanitary than that old, that water fountain has been up there since we built that field house. So I think that's a little more sanitary, and I think it'll work out a lot better and a lot cleaner. Elementary school, we replaced the media center windows, and if you haven't been in there, the place looks like a whole new light. I mean, it's brought in some nice natural light into the room. We repainted everything around the window trim with a gray color. It matches everything. It looks so good, all solid, nice solid pane windows, and we done a bunch of classroom moves. We had a lot of people moving around this year, but we're installing some cubbies in certain classrooms that Carissa and I talked about. We got a few teachers we think that this would help, and we're building them in-house. I've got a guy that is excellent with cabinets and building things like this, and he just loves it, and I love it because it keeps him occupied and busy, but he does a great job. We already got a set in down there, and we got 3 more sets to build, but they turned out real good. We had to re-gravel and re-chip the back playground. Again, we pitched in. Carissa lost a custodian early, so we pitched in with the elementary, and I had one that he's a deep cleaner. He means business when he does custodial work. He does it just as good as he does maintenance work, but he's real particular, and he jumped right in. And none of these guys even bat an eye when I ask them. I mean, they just do it because they know it's our job, you know. So we had some AC problems all over campus this year. Fortunately, as of right now, I was able to get, we were able to get all of them up and going, which I'm very thankful. Primary school, if you ain't been in a primary school, we installed this wall board, this protection board down the main hall. And these guys had never done this before. This was a new project for all of us. We had never had hands-on experience in any of this. Turned out great because my right-hand guy, he is a perfectionist. He wants it to be right. And it turned out real good. I think that in the future, though, I don't think they're going to want to do the other two hallways. But no, seriously, it was tough. It's a hard job to do. It took 3 people to do each board because you have to hold it in place. You can't just stick it because you got to, run the bubbles out. You got to do all of this stuff, and it takes 3 guys. And that had them pretty much tied up for a long time. And then these,
so good, though.
yeah, it does. But these guys were coming in early in the morning. They would do all kinds of work during the cool of the day, and then they would go over there and spend a lot of the hours of the day doing this wallboard. And so we got some wall touch-ups that are in place. We're replacing all of the toilet tissue dispensers and paper towel dispensers, and this left holes and things like that we're going through at the primary school mostly, and patching and repairing holes and repainting and things like this. We added wood chips and mulch in the pre-K playground and in the daycare playground. We added 29 yellow posts and chains on the other side of the drop-off area. Heather and I and the boss thought that this would be a good safety to implement to protect the children, to protect the parents, because these kids, they like to get out and they like to dart, and these chains are set up so like if they decide to drop off here, they can drop off every 2 car lengths or whatever the case may be, and all they have to do is swap chains. And it worked out real good for the bus drop-off on that side, and I think it's going to work out good for the car drop-off. We added a mini split in the data room. We were having some issues with that air conditioner, so I just went ahead and installed a separate mini split in there. Cafeteria, we just done Jenny's routine maintenance that she requires, and we added 4 mini splits in there. And this is going to work great. We're still working out the issues with the electrical because of that building is so old, figuring out how to get everything tied in. It's all pulled to the panel. We just got to do the hard work now and get it all wired up. Everything else is 100% done. And this is going to add a lot of dehumidification in that building that it needs. The air conditioning is very aged, so this is going to pick up the slack where the old air conditioning is failing. And the good thing about this is these things that we have done in there, we can remove them before the demo of the building, and we can repurpose them in high school or wherever we need to. And so that worked out great. The auditorium, of course, we removed all the plaques. We removed the blinds and curtains and seats. We reclaimed all the Freon to repurpose at the school out of them old units because it was R22, and we still have R22 equipment on the school campus. So I have all that. I have about 40 pounds of R22, which is equal to about $5,000 of Freon right now. So I think it's going to help us out a lot. Added new gravel in parking lots. Now we are going to put speed bumpers, parking bumpers over there, and we're going to do some striping over there, because I think what's happening is I've seen it Friday night and Saturday, is people are parking, too far apart and too close, and we can get a lot more cars in there, I think, if we stripe it and have some good parking layouts in there. And yeah, we'll have to do it multiple times because it's gravel, but I still think it's going to work out good. We used road bond, which, you know, a good rain, that stuff settles and it packs good, and I think it'll work out great. We had to repair a lot of drainage grates, and what we did is I wanted to use these cultured stones to put around the drainage grates. Like down at the primary school, we had some problems with the rubber mulch washing out with the floods that we've had and stopping up the drainage. And we had a swimming pool in the back there. So what we ended up having to do down there is we had to redo all the drainage for that whole back area. We found when we had the sunshades put up that the gentleman had drilled into our main drain line, and it was causing water to back up into the playground, and the rubber mulch was washing out, and it was just standing in a pool. So we went through and dug all that out and repaired every bit of it, and we haven't had a good heavy rain lately to see it, but what rains we have had, everything is draining and working properly, and so I'm real happy about that. We removed all of these picnic tables, we replaced them. We placed a lot up at the high school for Mr. Overland's kids, and we pushed these back up here so the middle schoolers can use them still up here. A lot of spraying. We had an auction, which we didn't do as good as I hoped we would, but hey, you know, it worked out. We're replacing all the dispensers, and we've been working a lot with our general contractor. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things under this ground that has been there since the 30s. And we have found all kinds of piping that goes nowhere, electrical that goes nowhere. Today we found a power line that comes out of the cafeteria and stops off out there, and I figure what I think it did is it went to the old greenhouse that was out there back when we were little kids, back when Danny was in school here.
We built it.
Yeah.
We didn't do the wire.
But you know, and there's a lot of other things we didn't get to. I like to over make my list every summer as kind of like a challenge for us. And with everything, we had a lot of things that were added on this year that kind of hit us wrong, and I didn't get a lot of things done. Which I think within the next 2 weeks we'll finish everything that I wanted to get done. But that's it. Is there any questions or?
Of course, you knew I would. You answered the one about the drainage.
Yes.
I was kind of question. Here's a new building, brand new drainage.
Yes.
Why? You answered that question. The wall board, are you talking with the contractors about whether we need to do something on the wall boards with
Yes.
that now?
Yes.
So that we don't have to have maintenance?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, we had brought that up because the thing is you can't stop these babies from putting their hands on the walls and, you know, playing around and you know, white walls are going to get dirty. But this material that we used, it's real easy to clean. And I think if they stay on top of it, the custodial staff down there stays on top of it, it'll look brand new from now on. But it's real difficult to work with, but I think the end product is going to be great. I think it's going to help us out.
I want to commend you and your workers, or the maintenance guys. This is a heck of a list. A whole lot of stuff.
Yes.
That I don't know. Well, I won't put my foot in my mouth, but I'm really proud of all of you.
Well, and I'm
for
proud of
what
the
you did.
guys. I really am.
Please tell them that.
I will. I sure will. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate your help. Appreciate your work this summer.
Danny, to your point, the primary school is the first building we've had with sheetrock walls. All our other buildings have block walls, so we didn't really realize how much of a challenge those sheetrock walls were going to be in terms of keeping them clean. Particularly the primary school kids wait in the hallway while they're waiting to be called to their car. So of course their backpacks are rubbing against the wall and whatnot. So we already put in the plans that we wanted that in at least in the main hallway in the new building.
Well, I remember going to another high school and a junior high, and when they get older, boys do get angry sometimes, punch a wall and they could go through the sheetrock. is to be refixed. So you got plywood there, they're not hardly gonna hurt it.
It's
So,
a little different, yeah.
Very
Some of
good.
those projects are amazingly, overdue, I guess, because, just for one thing that really picked up my attention was the fact that the carpet in the lecture hall had not been replaced since it was installed, and that's 35 years. So it was time to do that.
Yes.
So,
What I would say too is that a lot of these projects, that if we didn't have the skills that we have on our maintenance team, we would have to be subbing out. So we're very blessed to have people on our team that can do electrical work and can do HVAC and can do some of these things that save us a lot of money in the end. I'm very thankful to our maintenance team.
that was
Thank
also
you again,
very
Sue.
impressive.
Appreciate everything. So next we have the Parent Bill of Rights discussion.
Yeah, so, I presented 2 different times in the last few months about the Parent Bill of Rights. And one of the things that I mentioned in those presentations is that there would be forthcoming a parent guide to student achievement. So you have a copy of that in your folder. This is linked on our district webpage. We have devoted an entire page on our webpage to the Parent Bill of Rights just to make everything easy for parents to find. This information has been sent out to all parents, so they have that. And you guys will probably remember from my presentations, none of this is really new information. This is just kind of a one-stop shop to find everything that the Parent Bill of Rights indicates that we need to make easily available to our families. And so that's what this is. You can see the reason that we shared it electronically versus the paper copies is because it does have a lot of links in it. And so by sharing it digitally, it allows parents to click on those links and be able to access that information. The majority of the links that you see are either to local board policy or they're to some link within DPI. In terms of our standards or whatnot. It also has information about immunizations and about AP classes and honors classes and things like that. So again, none of this is new information, and it's not anything that we've really had to go out of our way to put in place. The only work has just been kind of combining it into one document, so it's all in the same place. Our board policies have always been available online. But this just pulls out some that are very pertinent to the Parent Bill of Rights and links them here. So I wanted you all as the board to have a copy of this, and know that each parent has this, and also it's linked to our district webpage. Our hope is to continue working on this as we get parent feedback about, I would like this information. We can always add to this document. We want it to be a living document and not something that we've just done and then it goes away. But or never is looked at again. So we will continue to look at this. We did use, Charlotte-Mecklenburg was one of the first districts to put theirs together, so we kind of modeled ours after Charlotte-Mecklenburg. And so anyway, as we get feedback from the board or from our administrators or from parents about other information they feel like is pertinent, we'll certainly be adding that in. So I just wanted you guys to see a copy of this as we move forward with that.
Very good. Any questions or comments about the Parent Bill of Rights and Student Guide to Achievement?
The only comment I have is I like how it's broken down because it's so content heavy.
It is content heavy.
And so to get, and just the way it's just, you guys laid it out, I think is so important.
Topic driven, and that
Yes.
helps me. Thank you for
Yeah.
putting that on there on the website too.
And having the links, that was easy to kind of navigate to get to other things. I didn't read it all, but
Those about it.
yeah, it was easy to.
Yeah, hopefully you can find what you need without having to read all 13 pages if you don't need it all, if you're looking for specific information. But we welcome feedback on that document if you find things that feel would be helpful to be in there.
Very good. Next we have the residency admission and residency admission updates.
Okay.
Discuss against that as well.
So I just wanted to kind of share a few things with the board and with the public regarding admission and residency. Should I go up there for this? Good here?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically over the summer, I started receiving phone calls from parents that live outside of the Clay County Schools District, inquiring about having their children attend our school. and asking, what do we need to do to get our kids in Clay County schools? That's a great thing, such a compliment for parents to call and want their children to attend here. So I started doing some kind of research into this, and there are 2 existing board policies related to this topic. One is policy 4130, which is discretionary admission, and the other one is 4135, which is tuition for discretionary admissions. These have been in board policy since 2016. So some of the work I've done over the summer is to make sure that this process is outlined in a detailed and transparent way. The policy does say that that the process shall not be arbitrary, and so I just wanted to make sure that I could do everything in my power to make sure that it is clearly laid out and transparent. So I created a cover letter and an application that explains all the requirements and includes the relevant information. So the board policy says that this, and this need to be included, and so we just made an application that makes sure that all of those points are included in that application. And it just makes it easy to provide to anyone who inquires and make sure that everyone who inquires is getting the same information. Policy 4135 indicates that anyone attending on a discretionary basis should pay tuition. And so the amount is indicated in policy as not to exceed the per pupil amount as provided by the county commissioners. So basically what we do is take the allotment that our county commissioners give us and divide that by our enrollment, and that's how we arrive at our tuition cost. So for this year, the tuition cost is $1,583, but of course that will vary from year to year depending on our allotment from the county and our allotment and our enrollment. So that number can vary, but that's the amount for this year. Regardless of where a student has residency, if they attend our school district, we do receive funds from the state for those students. Those are called ADM funds, Average Daily Membership Funds. So if they live in Cherokee County or they live in Macon County, but they attend school here, we still get dollars from the state for those students. But this tuition is in place of the tax dollars that are received by those living in the district. So it's just that county tax dollars that we're making up for. So I can confidently say that any new students attending Clay County schools this year were either able to confirm residency in our district or are paying tuition. So to date, we have 3 new students attending our district from a neighboring county, resulting in $4,749 in additional revenue for the district. We also have 2 pending applications. Part of the application process is that we review the students' records and we look at their attendance, their academics, and their behavior. So we make sure they're in good standing with their previous district. So I'm awaiting records for those 2 that have applied, so we can make a decision on that. So that said, I've received some feedback from families, and you guys will probably remember we even had a parent attend a board meeting recently and inquire about the perception that we have quite a few families attending from out of district. So I wanted to make the public aware that we do have people attending from out of district, and that we do have students that have applied for that and are paying tuition for that. I do know that much of this perception about us having all these out of district kids likely comes from the car tags that come through the car line. Now I know that that can be because grandparents or aunts or uncles are bringing kids to school, or it may be that people have moved and just haven't updated their tag. Normally when you're moving, we find that there's a lot of expenses that are associated with moving, and sometimes that car registration is one of the last things to get updated. So I don't know how accurate that perception is. So because of that, we're going to put some things in place to sort of address that. Families are required to confirm residency upon registration, but we have typically and historically not required anything after that initial registration. So if you claim residency when you enter into kindergarten, then that really hasn't been looked at after that time. So I also feel that since we are in a practice of having people apply and pay tuition, that we need to be fair and equitable in our processes and how we handle our students who are attending out of district. So based on these concerns, and in order to be fair to those who have applied and are paying tuition, we are conducting a residency audit for all the transition years. So of course, kindergarten, to enroll in kindergarten, you have to claim residency. So we're talking about 3rd graders, 6th graders, 9th graders. they received, and you guys have, the board has in your packet, the letter that they received regarding this, along with the form that they're being asked to complete as part of this residency audit. This data will be provided to the board for the board to determine how we will move forward with any students no longer living in district. Options would include establishing a grandfather clause, or enforcing tuition, or the board may decide to expand the residency audit to all grade levels. This is really just a starting point, so I want to make sure I'm sharing this for the sake of transparency, but not to create alarm. This is just a few steps that we're putting in place to look at current data and ensure we are being good stewards of our resource allocation. So I wanted to let everyone know that. I also included for the board some kind of what we anticipate as being the frequently asked questions about the audit, and those are the responses. And it's really just, you know, talking to people about this audit and making sure that we're not creating fear. We're really just gathering data at this point to determine if there is a lot of students attending out of district, or how many students are attending from out of district, and then use that data to inform any decisions about residency moving forward. So just wanted to let you know that. That's all I have to say about that. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions or comments about that?
Yeah, just one curiosity.
Yes.
If a parent is paying $1,500 or more for a year, do they have to pay that all in one lump sum, or can they prorate?
So that's a great question. So once we have accepted a student, I sit down with that parent, we create a tuition agreement. So they have the option to pay it all up front, or they can pay it by semester. And so if they're paying by semester, they pay the first semester by the first day of school, and then they pay the second semester by the first day in the second semester. So.
Seems a little bit more workable. I know for some parents who couldn't do that.
Yeah, and so far the parents have been able to do that. You know, certainly if they were not able to do that, we would look at, you know, other options to support families in that situation. But this hasn't come up.
Any other questions or comments? Very good. I mean, I think it's good to get that info out there, if nothing else, just because I can think of my time on the board getting that question a lot. I mean, people see a lot of Georgia tags.
Sure.
So just kind of clarifying the perception, like you said, that there's lots of. So I think that's good. So we'll gather some info and go from there.
So the residency audit is due back to us by September 13th, I believe it is. So I will report to you guys at the September board meeting the results of that. And again, it's just a sampling. It's really just for the purpose of looking at our student population at each school and determining.
Very good. Thank you for that, Ms. Goff.
Sure.
Next, we have the action item, and we have approval for walkway connection.
Yes, so I was under the impression that Sydney Grant was going to be here, but I don't see him. So I can speak to that, or at least try to, and you guys can maybe fill in some information, historical information for me. So Sydney had contacted me regarding connecting two walkways. So there's a walkway that goes behind the maintenance shed. You can see it there. That is connecting over to what I believe he referred to as the mayor's walkway. Is that correct?
Right.
And so he, according to him, there's about 200 feet that's on our property that he is requesting permission to join those two walkways together. He indicated that there would not be any expense to the district, that they would take care of the materials. He did indicate that they were going to attempt to put in a culvert and some gravel to kind of assist with some of the wetness in that area. But basically, I kind of had Adrian pull up this map just so we can see where we're talking about, but really that area behind the bus garage is my understanding of where that area exists. And so he's seeking approval from the board to manipulate that land for that purpose.
And if you guys remember, it's probably been at least 2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, when Mayor Slayton came and we approved the bridge across Town Creek right there. So that's the area they're talking about. Is there's an area between the end of that bridge on Town Creek and then the Quantasy path that goes down by behind the bus garage and the maintenance shed. And that stretch just stays really wet, so they want to put in drainage to clear it out and then create an actual gravel path to connect the town path from the bridge to the Quonset trail. And when I talked to Joe Slayton, who's the mayor, he asked me about it to bring it up at the board meeting. He said they would cover all the cost of it. It's not any, we're not having any money for doing that. They just want to connect the, instead of kind of having the bridge end in a big muddy spot for nobody to walk through, they went to create drainage, connect it so that people could walk across it. So,
Can I ask a question as a constituent?
yeah.
What if we have a flood down there and something happens and it's damaged? Would they be responsible for that repair with the school since it's on our property? Because that's a liability. Just a question.
I think when they did the bridge, that was all of theirs. So Joe didn't actually mention this part of the trail there. So
Very good question now.
Have they been informed of any of that? I thought we had hit them on that, about the creek rising during floods and stuff.
supposedly they took all that into account when they built the bridge. They took all that into account when they built the bridge, supposedly. Yeah. I don't know about the pathway, just so. They would, I mean, I don't mind to go back to Joe and bring those up. I mean, we can table this if that is better, and I can meet with Joe again and just kind of go over it. Or maybe get Sydney, you can actually talk to Sydney. Because I think, my understanding is Sydney is the gentleman that's doing the work. So maybe Sydney could come and speak to that as well. So we can
In favor of taking it up, sure.
table it. Okay. Sounds good. So I have a motion that we table that, so there's a second from Ms. Crawford. All in favor of tabling that?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So I'll get in touch with Joe Slayton about that as well. So we can get Sydney in for an actual meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. Very good.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the federal programs plan with Ms. Owens.
This was a little longer than I normally do. I decided to go ahead and present the whole presentation that I present in our normal public meeting instead of the one pager I normally give y'all, with a little more, because I'm gonna count this as a public meeting. And then tomorrow we're having another one at 4 o'clock. So if there's any more questions, people can come tomorrow at 4 o'clock in this same room for our second public meeting, because our grant is due Friday and we just want to make sure everybody's had a chance to ask questions. And we've had questionnaires from the elementary and the primary school going out by Remind, and they're Google forms where parents could say they like the plan, they agree with the plan. They were also able to edit their parent compacts through that. So we've had a lot of input this year as far as our opportunities for input and some feedback. So, Adrian. So representatives are the school improvement team members. That's normally your principal, assistant principals, instructional personnel, which is your classroom teachers and people who teach the students, instructional support personnel. So you've got EC staff or instructional coaches if your school has one. Teacher assistants, at least one in the building, and then there's always at least one parent representative on the school improvement team. And these are the people who look at whatever the school is needing for the year and decide what's the most important and what they want in their school improvement plan. And that's what we build our grant application off of. Okay, Adrian? Leadership teams, we talk about this a lot throughout the whole year. We make them, we talk about plans that need to be made and why those need to be made. And those members are the superintendent, myself, the chief finance officer, the chief officer of testing, accountability, and power school, school administrators, technology director, and the school nutrition director. Because all that comes into play. Our CEP from school nutrition comes into play. That's actually one of the things we check off in our application. So all these people play a very important role. And these are the titles that we can apply for. So Title I is for our low-income, economically disadvantaged students. Title II is for improving teacher quality. Title III is for language instruction for limited English proficient and immigrant students. Title IV is student support and academic enrichment. And RLIS is your rural low-income schools. Title III is something we do not apply for, and we'll catch on that once we get to that slide. Okay, consolidated federal program goals, student growth in reading and language arts, student growth in math, increased family engagement, and improve student classroom behavior and academic outcomes. Those are our main goals for all of these grants. So, Title I, again, it provides assistance to school with a high percentage of children with low-income families, as measured by the free and reduced meal application forms, which now are CEP, so we just check that box, and I don't have to necessarily do that calculation. But we do, that is what comes into play when we're deciding our Title I schools. The parent and family engagement, that's our policy 1320. We have an annual meeting and program evaluation annual meeting now. We had opportunities at our open houses at both the elementary and primary school, as well as tomorrow's public meeting at 4 o'clock. So we've got all these opportunities for parents to come in and provide us any input they want to this policy, and that could be brought back to you guys if they, parents see something that they would really like to be changed about our parent engagement policy. And this is a shrunk down form of one of our parent-student compacts, school parent and student compact. And this is the primary school's updated one for this year. We have the elementary that has one as well. We send these home. We got parent input this year through a Google form, and the primary and elementary revised theirs to those needs to match what the parents wanted. And then this has been created and sent home with their packets at the beginning of the year. And that's a requirement. The family engagement policy, these are both listed here when they were adopted, and again, we give parents opportunities to give us feedback on those in our forums. And the schools that are going to be served this year from Title I is the primary school and the elementary school, again, for outcomes in math, English language arts, and family engagement. And this is the not so good stuff. So last year our planning allotment was $436,203. This year it's $412,702. It's $23,501 reduction just in our planning allotment. Now, as the year goes, we might get more money or they might take money away. That just happens, and we don't know what's going to happen until they drop or take away the money. So this is about equivalent. This reduction is about equivalent to half the salary of a teacher with 6 years of experience, just so you kind of have an idea of what enormous cost that is to us. And that's something I'm going to explain to the parents tomorrow as well if anyone comes to our meeting. Okay? So we have to break this down. We get this money and it goes to the elementary and the primary school. Well, the way we proportionately share that with them is we look at their enrollments, and the last enrollment count, and that's the final one that I look at, was 295 students at the primary and 282 students at the elementary, and this does not include kindergarten. They do not let us, not kindergarten, that should say preschool, not kindergarten, that's a typo. It's K through 2 and 3 through 5. So your proportionate share turns out to 51.1% for the primary and 48.9% for the elementary. So I take that and I take that total amount of money that we have, and that's how much each of them gets in their budget. Well, the breakdown for that is that $91,145.57 is going to go to help run our preschool. We pay 30% of our preschool teacher's salary and benefits out of that money, and that's a set aside. Then we break the money apart, and we have to do $500 for homelessness. That is a requirement by the federal government. We have to do at least one per pupil allotment. Next slide. So when you take all that down, they get $306,000 to split, and you see the breakdown to how much each school gets. And through the planning and the discussions, we are paying for teacher salaries out of this money. Right now, we're looking at 3 teachers per school. Now, if the state comes back after looking at our enrollment in the 3rd grade this year, which is much bigger than it has been, we are anticipating that they're going to give us some money to pay for those positions. We're not sure how many, if any, but we are hopeful that they will go by the class size ratio that we are required to follow by, and that's why we've got this many teachers in 6th grade. They should be giving us some money back. So that will help take some of this money back and allow the schools to use that. If there's any carryover funds, which we know there are some right now, but our fiscal year doesn't end until September 30th, so I don't know the exact carryover right now. But that will also go into supplementing these funding needs. Okay? Any questions about Title I? That's all gonna be salaries and benefits right now, but to help out. Okay, rural and low-income schools. This provides funds for rural school districts that serve concentrations of children from low-income families. This is an extra supplemental grant for the Title I schools. So this, again, goes specifically to the primary and the elementary school. This year's planning allotment is $32,269. Last year's was $27,000. We're actually getting an increase in RLIS this money, which we're happy for. But it doesn't take long to spend that, but we will use this to purchase supplemental instructional materials to enhance the currently used curriculums in both schools. And Title II goes to improve the teachers' quality. We use this for professional development. The cost of sending teachers to professional development, that includes substitutes, overnight stays, their meals, registrations, anything like that we need for PD for these teachers. So this year's planning allotment is a little over $55,000. Last year's was about $60,000. It's a reduction of $5,377, which again is a hit. Right now, the breakdown that we already know we're spending, we have the beginning teacher support that we provide through paying mentors a $500 stipend for the year. We have $24,602 where we pay the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program to come in with another mentor that helps these beginning teachers, BT1s and BT2s only. Then we have $65.84 that we spend on stipends for the district MTSS coordinator. And this year we blended PBIS and SEL into one coordinator. So we're only paying for 2 coordinators this year instead of 3. And then right now we've already spent $4,800 on new curriculum training at the primary school. So the remaining funds again will go to PD, and if anything remains towards the end of the year when we're renewing teachers' licenses, we help offset that cost. It's $35 per license, and some years we've been able to do it and some years we haven't. Last year we were not able to do it. We had used all our funds. So if there's money left over at the end of this year, we would use it for that. Any questions about Title II? Okay, Title III we do not accept. The reason we do not accept Title III, it's not that we don't want to help our English learners, but the funds are so small that just the overhead cost of managing is more than what we would receive in funds. Plus you've got the monitoring somewhere down the road, which we're being monitored in November, that you've got to do extra work for. So we have traditionally not accepted Title III. It's usually about $6,000, and it's just really not worth the amount of work that goes into preparing the grant and then tracking everything. And then Title IV, it's a flexible block grant that covers providing students with a well-rounded education, supporting safe and healthy students, and supporting the effective use of technology. And we cannot spend more than 15% on technology. This year's allotment is almost $32,000. Last year it was $34,000, so we had a reduction of $2,300 this year. We use that to help pay for our Educator's Handbook, which is a behavior tracking software program, our SEL app, which is Satchel Pulse, the attendance flyers that we send out that, we put all our new attendance stuff in there. We've been doing attendance flyers for about 5 years now, and we hand those out with new registrations at the beginning of the year to all students. That just breaks down what the expectations are for attendance to help improve that. And then we have to buy PBIS signage to put around the expectations and rules and how we expect our students to act. And then we did have Second Step. I don't know that we've had to purchase new curriculum this year, but if we had, that's where that would have come from. And then our counselors traditionally, they're not classroom teachers that go to a lot of training, but this is an area where we can fund for them to go to the state conference every year and to pay for their NCASCA and their National Counselors Association memberships, so that they can be part of those groups and network with people in their profession. And since we started doing that, they have built a much stronger team, and they've been able to go out and learn new things, bring back, and we've had some PD from some people that have presented at their conference and stuff, so that's been beneficial not just for them, but for the district as a whole. That's it. Do y'all have questions?
Angela, you said, excuse me.
No, go ahead.
You said this is due on Thursday?
Friday.
Friday.
I have to turn in the application on Friday, and we've been working on it all summer.
Yeah.
Like going back and forth and meeting, and parental engagement was something they're really beefing up on, and we are being monitored in November. And we thought we were being monitored on last year's stuff, but then when I went to the meeting for it, they said, "Oh no, you're going to submit a new grant, so we're going to look at everything you've been doing just since this grant started." So now we're having to back up where I had collected a lot of information that I thought I needed. Now I'm having to recollect for this school year as we go, but that's okay. But yeah, they'll be here November 7th to audit us.
So when you submit this remind me of the time frame you hear back on this generally?
At least a month. It's due August 30th. Our new grant year starts October 1st. So if there's anything missing or something they want me to clarify, they'll always send it back to me. Sometimes where Shelley puts in the budget and then where our numbers are calculating, the budgets might not match, but our totals match. So there has to be some tweaking there that Shelley and I work through. But we've never had any major reasons for them to send them back except just some tweaking within the grant. Our consultants are really, really good to work with us on that kind of stuff.
Okay, good.
Any other questions or comments from the audience?
So I'm asking that you approve it as it has been presented. Again, I will be presenting this tomorrow. If y'all want to come back, you're welcome to. Or any parents out there watching the meeting, if it's live, you're welcome to come tomorrow at 4 o'clock in this same room, and I'll be presenting the same thing. But if you've got questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
So, if you don't mind, tell me again what PBEL coordinator was.
How do you, the new acronym, PBIS and SEL.
Oh, SEB, yes.
SEB.
So traditionally we have had 3 branches of MTSS. We've had our academic piece, we've had our behavior piece, which has been positive behavior interventions and supports, and then we've had our social emotional learning. And so the trend in the state is to combine that behavior and that social emotional learning. And so that makes a lot of sense to us because oftentimes, behavior is linked to some social emotional skills or some social emotional deficits. And so we are moving forward by approaching that as kind of one tier of MTSS rather than splitting them apart. And so looking at how are we supporting kids' emotional needs and how is that lending itself to positive behavior in school.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I can't always get your acronyms right. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So you have the Consolidated Federal Programs Plan that was presented. Is there a motion that we approve that as it was presented?
I make a motion to approve it.
Ms. Beck, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Crawford seconds. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you, so. Next, we have the consent agenda. You see on there is a ratification of policy 4125 for homeless students, and that is
Can I speak to
simply
that?
a name change, correct?
Yes, so in this policy for homeless students, their homeless liaison was listed here. It's on the very last page, right above the legal references. That was a former employee was listed there. When we discovered that, I asked the state board who manages our policy manual to update that. That is a technical correction, so I'm allowed to do that, but with the understanding that the change will be ratified at the next board meeting. So anyway, they have allowed me to go ahead and update that. So you'll see that it's been updated to be Terry Hager, who is serving as our homeless liaison, but it just needs to be ratified, that change by you all. And so that's in the consent agenda, along with the other items.
And then you have the other items are the policies that were there for approval. And then you have a list of board meeting minutes. We have June 27th regular session and July 22nd regular session. And there's a couple of policies there that are for first read. So, any questions or comments about the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve it as it's presented.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Mr. Caldwell seconds. All in favor? Thank you.
can I speak to real quick the policies for first read? Both of these are new policies, so I have printed a copy for you all for your folders. They're not updates, they're totally new, so I thought it would be helpful for you to have a copy of those as well, hard copy. The first one is about the emergency administration of, that's Narcan, for our nurses to be able to administer that on an emergency basis. And the second is random drug testing program. That is basically the student athlete drug policy, and it is a reflection of what's in athletic policy. It's just not in board policy, and we feel like it's best for it to be in both. And so I've worked with Mr. Oberlin and Coach Cottrell, and we've taken that athletic policy and formatted it into what we think is a really strong board policy. And so I just wanted to call attention to it. There is some formatting issues with this because of the state board template that they did say they would clean up for me when it's passed and approved, but you guys can just ignore that. And so anyway, Mr. Oberlin, is there anything you'd like to say about this policy?
It's a suspicionless program, which just means it's random testing. Okay, so it's based on the percentage of the athletes on each roster. So we would be testing like we have been in each of our 3 sports seasons. When we hope to never have a positive.
Right, absolutely. But we do know that this is something that comes up and people have questions about, and so we wanted to make a policy where it was accessible by the public and not just the student athletes in that season. We should make it readily available. That's good.
That sounds
I want you to have copies of those.
very good. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Crawford, is there a second to that? Mr. Caldwell, all in favor? Thank you. Thank you, folks, for attending again at